And welcome back to Meeting of the Minds. Today I'm here with the great John Knowles, director at Legatus. John, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Gene. It's a real honor to be with you. Thank you.
Absolutely. We had a great time on last Friday. We met up at Hotel Bethlehem, and it was a good time. Great fellowship and great meeting of the minds there as well.
It was a wonderful conversation. I came away fired up in so many areas of my life, especially with fitness. You guys are real inspiring when it comes to your message around that. So thank you for getting me on the treadmill and making some good decisions there.
Absolutely. Spirit, mind, and body, right? We got
Amen.
that physical, and with Legatus, you have the spiritual, physical, and fiscal fitness.
I like it.
Great stuff, right? I'll get more serious on you now. So talk about your journey in the faith. How did you get closer to the Lord?
Yeah, sure. So this is one of my favorite topics, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit. So I was born in Michigan, and my dad was Episcopalian and my mom was Catholic. I was baptized Episcopalian, and a lot of people joke around about that being kind of Catholic light, if you will. And there's probably some truth to that, at least superficially. There are some similarities, and obviously joined history. So we're just always around Christianity in all its in many different forms, especially the Episcopalian tradition, the Roman Catholic tradition through my mom. So I went to Catholic schools. I had phenomenal Catholic teachers. Unsurprisingly, the best of them were the religious sisters, and anybody who went to Catholic school, if you were fortunate enough to have religious sisters, they were always the best teachers. They're just awesome gifts, both in the faith and in the substantive academic curriculum. But, through that Catholic education and through, being around the Episcopal Church, I just always, had a Bible nearby. I always had exposure to the faith. My mom especially was strong in her faith and was a guide on that. And I'm really grateful to her for that. So, throughout my life, I always felt kind of a nudging towards becoming Catholic, and ultimately during law school, facing a lot of challenges, not just with, the difficulty of law school, but in other areas. I finally, joined the church officially, although I felt like I had been a part of it, at least at a distance, a very long time. Along my way, I had been helped out by, just so many great Catholic lay ministers and brothers and priests. At my grade school, for instance, St. Hugo, there were just a number of priests that were very good to me when I was growing up, really reflected the example of Christ. And I knew that I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be somebody that, was a compassionate leader who put others first, that lived with absolute integrity, and was playing the long game, if you will, not just this life, but the one that comes beyond.
That's great. That's great. And then talk about how that was going on while you were in pursuit of your career studying. And then, so how does your Catholic faith influence you then, your business going on and so forth?
Sure. So I think as soon as I became a professional after I graduated, from college and law school, I just quickly had a calling to not just, make a contribution in a professional setting and provide for my family, but I really wanted to be around, find a way to be around more people of character, and to learn from great mentors, to be around people that encourage me to become a better man, a more ethical man, a more complete leader. And unsurprisingly, just a lot of the people I looked up to and respected happened to be Catholic. And it's unsurprising, I guess, that I was drawn to those types of people that weren't just ambitious, to earn a great living and be able to provide at a high level, but also make a great impact and one day be able to give back in a way that is profound and leaves a legacy that lasts forever. So it was part intentional and part luck. I just had some great people across my path that encouraged me both professionally and in my faith.
That's great. That's great. And you would expect to see successful people that are Catholics, because we're focused on the virtues and magnanimity, which is excellence in all things we do, or at least attempting to get to the excellent level, not being satisfied with the mediocre. We're always looking to get better, and all for the glory of God.
Yeah, Gene, I love what you just said. And, just good, because we're talking about Catholic education and, that background and everything. I mean, one thing I remember, in the 12 years of Catholic school that I benefited from when I was young, it was interesting. Like, you could make mistakes, right? I mean, you could be late for class, you could have your uniform not looking great, you know what I mean? You could say a swear word occasionally, and you'd be held accountable for those things. But the one thing that you couldn't not be if you went to Catholic school is you couldn't have the ambition to be a leader, right? I mean, like that was just woven into everything, was that one of the messages of Catholic education was that you should be a person that's competitive, that's ambitious, that wants to do something great with your life. And I guess the way that always spoke to me was, God grants you these gifts in the forms of your talents, right? In forms of things you're good at. Some people can run really fast. Some people can dunk a basketball from several feet away or whatever. Some people can do math like it's no problem. I struggle with that personally. But the point is God gave you these things. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have to, you didn't have to buy them. You didn't have to hunt them down at the mall or whatever. You're given them, and your responsibility in return is to transform them into meaningful ways to give back to the world, to give back to the glory of God, and to actualize yourself to become a vessel for goodness in this world. And that was a message that was just embedded in me very early on, and I give all the credit to that Catholic education.
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. I think about the parable of the talents, and God's going to ask you to render an account for the gifts that he's given you. And we're all different members in the body of Christ. And you can't say the ear is greater than the foot or the elbow is worse than the knee, but we're all part of it. And we have to discern our vocation and then make sure we're putting out that full effort.
Yeah, amen. Absolutely. And I guess it depends on how you measure too. I mean, like, I'm sure you and I have known a lot of people that the measure has just been, a demonstrable, observable wealth. You know what I mean? Look how big my house is. Look how sweet a car I have. Look at all the fancy watches and other accoutrements I have, and I'm not saying that measure is totally irrelevant. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong, with having a big house. There's nothing wrong with having, that car you've dreamt of since you were a kid, having things that you reach for, that satisfy dreams that you have. I'm not saying those things are necessarily evil, but if that's the only thing you're after in life, I think you're going to be disappointed. I think you're going to have a lot of, struggles around fulfillment, around true satisfaction. I think you're going to miss out on the real joy in life that comes from family life and parenthood and deep friendships with other people, the joy of giving back, the joy of transforming other people's lives. So I think, it's good to measure everything. We do that in business, we do that in physical fitness, your game, all the things we do. But don't just focus on one single measure, because I think you're gonna end up disappointed if that's all you care about.
Right, absolutely. Making me think also about the other virtue, magnificence, which is doing great things with our wealth. And that's a big reason why we're supposed to aim high. So then when we have these great things, we can give back and not being attached to it, right? We have things, we love people, we use things. We don't do it the reverse. So as long as we have it in that proper order and we're attached to God alone, we're fine. It's good to have things then. So then you could give more.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, really, all money is ultimately is a tool that you use to do good, for others, which is the reason we're all here. We're here to, light up the world a little bit more than it was before we were born. I mean, like, at the end of my life, I want to be able to look back and say that when I could, I was there for people. I helped others. I was there for my family. I identified needs in the world that I was able to, further and invest in, with time, treasure, and other resources. That's really all it is. And for those of us that are blessed to have a little bit of surplus, our Jewish brothers and sisters have this beautiful visual element they sometimes use, where they hold up the saucer and they do the visual of pouring into the cup, and you fill up your own cup, but then when it overflows, it pours out into the community, right? I think that there's real beauty in that. So, I mean, I guess part of what life is all about, I think, is to again, actualize those talents, fill your own cup as much as you can, and then you get to pour out into the rest of the community, into the world. And that's probably what real satisfaction looks like, I think. At least that's what I believe.
Absolutely. And the psychological research actually brings that out, or it illustrates that point, where they say you're happier when you give than when you receive. And of course, we know that as like a punchline and a catchphrase, but actually to see that with the evidence, with the research, that we are happier when we give, we have greater ratings of self-assessment of life satisfaction. So I'm glad.
I love that, Gene. And what a timely comment going into the Christmas season. When I think a lot of people are just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get this new TV or whatever. The real beauty of this season, and like, some people get down on it, like, oh, it's commercialized, blah blah blah. I mean, look, lean into it, make it good. You know what I mean? Like you said, like, if this season is about giving and thinking of others and spreading joy to other people, we just need to take a little bit of extra time to share those creative moments. I mean, like that's what we all should be thinking about: our spouses, our kids, our friends, our family, our colleagues, our vendors, everybody we encounter in life. You know, let's have that spirit of Christmas and share with other people. That's a beautiful thing.
That's it, Christifying our life, turning all occasions and circumstances into events to glorify God. I'm all about it. I love it, John. I'm fired up. All right, so let's transition to Legatus. Talk about how you got involved with Legatus, what you do now, and what the future looks like.
Sure. So I joined Legatus at the beginning of 2015 as the director for the Northeast International. My responsibility is to manage this organization along the Eastern Seaboard from Virginia to Boston, the 20 metropolitan-based Legatus chapters, and our 1,000 members in that geographic area. Legatus is the world's only membership organization for Roman Catholic CEOs and senior level corporate executives. We were founded in 1987 by the iconic Catholic philanthropist Tom Monahan, who's best known as the founder of Domino's Pizza and later the Ave Maria schools in Florida. In my home state of Michigan, he's also very well known as the owner of the Detroit Tigers when the team won the World Series championship in 1984. So he's covered a lot of territory. Legatus's purpose is to strengthen the faith of its members intellectually, spiritually, and socially through a curriculum of encounters with their peer corporate executives, business executives, high-level entrepreneurs, et cetera, in a Christ-centered community where they're around a lot of people that they have a lot in common with. It very much ties into our founder, Tom Monahan's life story, where he benefited immensely from business leadership organizations, especially YPO, which was one of his favorites and one of the most impactful for him. So some people compare Legatus to the YPO in a lot of ways, although we're very different because we're definitely a Catholic, Christ-centered organization whose ultimately goal is to strengthen the spiritual life of our members. That's really interwoven into everything we do. We're 34 years old as an organization. We have our largest and most prolific membership ever all across North America, with members in international settings as well. Until the COVID stuff came along, we were growing at really breakneck speed, really advancing at a really high velocity. It was an exciting time. It still is. It's just, it slowed down a little bit because of the COVID stuff. And I imagine when the COVID situation stabilizes, we'll pick up right where we left beyond. I think that the reason people really get into Legatus and are really enjoying this and joining at a faster rate than ever before is that there's no other organization in the world that pulls together people that have had this level of professional success and accomplishment, but are also so passionate about their Catholic faith. Another important thing to mention is in Legatus, spouses are encouraged to participate. So for you and I, our wives are welcome to participate in Legatus and attend everything, participate fully, whether or not they're corporate executives. And our organization is not a fundraising organization. We focus on the intellectual, spiritual, and social development of our members. We do not allow fundraising or solicitation. We want this to be a break for our members who do a lot of generous giving, a lot of generous charity work in their outside lives. But we want to keep the focus on the spiritual development of our members especially. And we don't want them to feel like they're going to get asked for contributions every time they come through the door.
Right, makes sense. That's great. That's a really tremendous thing you have there. And talk about how you actually do that with developing intellectually, spiritually. What are some of the things, the conferences that we spoke about? Talk about that.
Wow, thanks. So the Legatus chapter meeting, which is basically unchanged in its structure over the 34 years of our history, is a 3-hour experience that usually starts around 6 o'clock in the evening. And you come together, and the first third is all spiritual. We pray the rosary together, confessions available. We celebrate a daily mass. Every Legatus chapter has a chaplain who's a priest from the diocese who's appointed to serve as the chapter's chaplain. So the first third of it is 100% spiritual. As soon as mass concludes, we break into a brief cocktail reception. That's more social in nature. People get to catch up, shake hands, see each other, meet new friends. And then at the end of that, half hour to 45 minutes, we sit down for dinner and we hear from great Catholic speakers. We enjoy the company of the people at our tables, but we bring in outstanding Catholic speakers that challenge us spiritually, but also professionally to become better Catholics and to be the most outstanding leaders we can be. And this happens once a month between 10 and 11 times a year for our 100 Legatus chapters across North America. So that's really the cornerstone of the curriculum, is the repetition of that, our members coming together every month for that experience, it becomes habitual. It becomes a monthly commitment where every time we're together, we take a step forward, and in our faith especially. And I think the secondary benefit that's really beautiful and really important, Gene, is the relationships that are formed amongst Legatus members. So there's no other organization in the world where, as a Catholic executive, the person to your right and the person to your left at that dinner or at Mass is going to be your peer Catholic executive or a spouse of that executive, dealing with all the same issues that you are too from a Catholic perspective. So it becomes a very safe place, a very comfortable place to be very authentic about who you are, to explore issues of both a professional and a spiritual nature. That's really the cornerstone of our curriculum, and I think the most important part of our offering. Also important is our array of conferences, trips, other experiences that come up throughout the year. We go to all the big Catholic holy sites in the world: Guadalupe, Medjugorje, Rome, Holy Land, you name it. We go there with big delegations, Legatus members from all over North America, experiencing these very sacred places, these very holy places, again, alongside their peer Catholic executives, building great friendships and relationships and having experiences that are transformative. We send a delegation to the National Catholic Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C. every year, that great gathering of the Catholic community. We have executive physicals that take place at the country's best hospitals, like the Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, et cetera. Have a daily physical, talk about health and wellness issues, very important to Legatus members. And then we do what are called enclaves, which are like beautiful retreat experiences. Think like the cabin overlooking the mountains in Montana, or the Texas Ranch, or wine country or whatever. Men and women, separately experience these enclaves, which are opportunities to get really deep in issues of faith and other dimensions of your life, again, alongside your peers for a 2 or 3 day experience. Fantastic, food, dining, horseback riding, golfing, outdoor experiences, but really it's the people that make it so special. So I guess the tactic that Legatus uses to pursue its mission is to provide these unforgettable experiences that connect the community of Catholic executives in a very special way and lead to the individual development of each person's faith.
That's great. And that fellowship with people who are like-minded and are on the same path as you, I could testify to that, especially. I think back to college, where there would be, let's say, Catholic Athletes for Christ. You're dealing with a very specific target group there: high-level athletes and Catholic. Your normal friends on the team, they might be on the same path athletically, but spiritually they might be way off. And it really helps to have people who are fortifying you both in your faith and your goals, and also someone to talk to. Right? We all struggle with different things, and the role of an entrepreneur is a lot different than other people. So being able to speak to those struggles and bounce ideas off one another, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, so you as an athlete, which I know is a big part of your identity and your background, you're right. You could probably connect with any other wrestler or any other football player and instantly have all kinds of things to talk about. But one of the things that makes you distinctive, of course, is that I know, Gene, for you, everything starts from that Catholic foundation. So, I mean, that's really, if I really want to get to know you, if I really want to, connect on a deep level with you, the Catholic identity, the core of who you are is really, where I need to start from and what's really going to connect us. So you're right, with Legatus members, they encounter all kinds of people through their business lives or the people they manage, their peer executives all the time. And they're going to have a ton in common with that. They're going to be able to talk about, accounting and legal and public relations and how the budget looks and all that, stock market. I mean, these are all topics they can talk about with almost anyone, but only through that Catholic prism can they really connect in a way that allows total authenticity, total truth about who they are, especially in a world where that's becoming somewhat less easy, sadly to say. I mean, it's I don't want to overstate it, but I mean, it might not be as simple these days to be out and confident and expressive about being a Christ-centered leader. I mean, we need to get back to that. And I think that's one of the things Legatus is trying to accomplish too, is just making it more okay and more permissible for people that are very strong in their Catholic faith to be totally genuine about who they are.
Awesome. Now talk about during this whole COVID time, uncertainty. What do you do now with the people involved? And also, what does the future look like I know we don't know for sure, but what do you foresee?
Oh, I love that you brought that up because, as I think you and I had discussed before, the COVID-19 phenomenon and the associated state restrictions on our ability to gather and congregate, et cetera, has represented the biggest threat that Legatus has ever faced before. Because our organization is all about getting people together in very close settings, so we can learn from one another. Really, enjoy those close relationships in a deep and intimate way. And the COVID stuff has really been a headwind against that. It's been a very challenging year for Legatus. Many of our events have been canceled. Many have been postponed. It's been tough. The way we've overcome that is we were the first organization in our general class in terms of Catholic apostolates to get on with the online community building, online interviews like the one you and I are doing, online chapter meetings for our organization. We have an internal online community called Networks, which allows our members to connect and integrate virtually instantaneously, which is widely utilized. So I think that we showed great leadership in that. We launched a new website early this summer, which again upgraded our capability with that. So I think that we adapted, as well as could be expected. Then in the summer, when outdoor gathering especially became more permissible, again, we were very aggressive with that, always taking account of the safety of our members, of course, always making accommodations for mask wearing and distancing and sanitizer availability, all the things we need to do to get through this COVID-19 moment. But we were very successful in gathering our community, especially outdoors. So now with the weather getting colder in much of the country, and the case metrics going up, the state restrictions starting to tighten up again. I mean, again, it's going to slow our progress to a degree, but I think we have solutions in place to keep our members plugged in despite all that's going on. And of course, we're very hopeful and prayerful about the breakthroughs with the vaccines, and in the hope that we'll be powering through this very soon. So anyway, from a leadership perspective, from an organizational management perspective, I think that at least for me, I've seen this as an exciting challenge to overcome. They don't pay us to fix the small problems. I consider it a blessing and a privilege during this historically difficult moment. I had an opportunity to be a leader in an organization that was adaptable and agile despite enormous headwinds coming at us. And I'm proud to say Legatus has powered through, and I think it is well positioned, not just to survive the remainder of the COVID-19 episode, but also to charge out of the gate with high velocity on the other end. I think we're going to be just fine.
That's great. Not just surviving, but thriving with God's grace. Beautiful.
Amen.
Beautiful. All right. So, John, thank you very much. Where do we send people for more information on Legatus?
Oh, gosh. Again, check out that website. We just upgraded, www.legatus.org. Type Legatus into your Google search. It'll pop right up. My email address is easy. It's my first initial J and then my last name, Knowles, Knowles, @legatus.org. Email me anytime. I'd love to talk to you about Legatus. I'd love to talk to you just about anything related to faith or business or whatever's on your mind. Like you, Gene, I love networking. I love meeting great new people. So please reach out. Gene, what an honor to be on your show. Thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
The pleasure's been mine. I'm happy to link all the show notes. On the show notes, I'm going to link what you said. There were all those, your website, your email. But again, always a pleasure, John. Great stuff. I really hope people take advantage of this.
Gene, God bless you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for all you do. It's very important.
Thanks a lot, John. Thank you as well. Take care.
Bye.